Really craving a donut. Can't wait. Wait, what the fuck? What? Someone ate my donut.
I think it was Danny.
Danny! Danny, you ate my donut. Did you not see the sign I had placed on top of the donut?
You didn't eat another donut anyway.
Bitch.
Wow, your heart rate's really high.
Note that as Danny grabs my wrist to stop me from absolutely nailing her in the face, she feels my radial pulse. She notices that my heart rate has increased due to running up the stairs and storming into her room, also known as exercise. So during exercise, heart rate and stroke volume are expected to increase. Cardiac output equals stroke volume times heart rate, and therefore by increasing both the stroke volume and the heart rate, the amount of blood and oxygen going to active skeletal muscles also increases. This is a good thing because the body needs more oxygen during exercise. Systolic blood pressure will also increase during exercise because there is more pressure on the arterial walls. This in turn helps push oxygen-rich blood to active skeletal muscles during exercise. So when I run up the stairs, this is an example of progressive exercise because I'm starting at a flat level and then increasing my intensity when I go up the stairs, and then I'm returning back to a flat surface when I reach the top of the stairs. With progressive exercise, steady state heart rate is never reached because the intensity keeps increasing. This does not allow the body to adapt to the changes in intensity fast enough. If Danny's room had been on the first floor and the intensity of exercise did not change or increase, then my body would have had the opportunity to reach a steady state. A steady state is met when heart rate plateaus because the body is receiving enough oxygen to maintain a constant intensity.
Are you really trying to fight me right now, Joe? Like, actually?
I'm trying to fight you. You ate my donut, Danny.
I didn't eat your donut.
You understand what that means, right?
I didn't eat your donut.
So force and velocity are proven to have an inverse relationship. As the load increases, velocity will decrease. Force is expected to decrease when the velocity increases due to the amount of time available to form cross bridges. Speed and force have also have a relationship in which there's a specific speed that produces the maximum amount of force. Notice that when Jill throws a punch at me at a higher speed, the amount of force produced is decreased, and vice versa. When she punches me at a lower speed, more force is produced. Punching me at a lower speed allows Jill's muscles more time to form cross bridges, which therefore increases her contractile force.
You fat bitch! Of course you ate my donut! How could you eat my donut? How could you eat my donut? How could you, Jenny?
O2 deficit is expected within the first few minutes of exercise. Since the body cannot increase oxygen uptake immediately, this suggests that anaerobic pathways are being used at the onset of exercise to produce enough ATP. Once a steady state is reached, O2 consumption will level out and the aerobic system can take over. Training can also increase the speed at which a person reaches steady state. Therefore, an untrained person will have a larger O2 deficit. I am untrained and Jill is trained, so I will have the larger O2 deficit than she will. It will take my aerobic system longer to take over ATP production than Jill. The pathways responsible for ATP production during O2 deficit are the phosphocreatine system and anaerobic glycolysis.
Lactic acid is produced during anaerobic glycolysis. During exercise, blood lactate levels increase because when you're exercising, your epinephrine levels increase. When epinephrine levels increase, more blood is sent to active skeletal muscles. Therefore, less blood can be sent to inactive muscles and other organs, such as the liver. The liver is responsible for clearing out lactate. So during exercise, less blood is going to the liver. Therefore, the liver cannot clear out as much lactate. This is why blood lactate levels increase during exercise. During the first fight, I am expected to create more lactate than Danny is, even though I'm more trained. This is because I am exercising at a higher percentage of my VO2 max than Danny is. I'm going all out in this fight, and Danny is simply taking the hits.
Jill, for real, there's another freaking donut downstairs. Jill, there's another donut downstairs. Seriously.
Let's go look for the donut. Lactic acid is produced during anaerobic glycolysis. As mentioned earlier, anaerobic glycolysis is responsible for the majority of ATP production for the first 2 minutes of any type of exercise. If high intensity is continued, the anaerobic system will still mainly be responsible as well. Lactate levels are expected to raise during the first fight that Danny and I have. However, the duration of the fight is not long enough for lactate levels to reach a threshold. Lactate threshold will be reached when blood lactate rises exponentially because lactate clearance cannot keep up with lactate production. Because of this, lactate levels increase with exercise intensity during longer durations of exercise. Lactate threshold can also be altered with training. So untrained people, aka Danny, are expected to reach lactate threshold at around 50 to 60% of their VO2 max. Trained people are expected to reach lactate threshold closer to their true VO2 max. There's no donuts, but I guess I'll just drink some Gatorade.
Carbohydrate ingestion is expected to increase endurance for longer exercises and increase energy for shorter duration exercises. People can benefit from the intake of carbs prior to exercise for many reasons. 1, carbs replenish any depletion of muscle glycogen and liver glycogen from the fasting at night. Carb digestion and absorption is faster than protein and fat digestion and absorption. Carbs are the main source of energy for both short anaerobic exercises and high-intensity aerobic exercises. Notice how in the video, Jill cracks open a nice cool blue Gatorade and drinks it before the next fight happens. This intake of carbs will delay the use of muscle glycogen stores, which will help Jill fight for a slightly longer time than me. RER stands for respiratory exchange ratio and is measured based on the amount of CO2 blown out of the body. RER equals VCO2 over VO2, and it provides us with an estimation of which fuel is being used more, carbohydrates or fats. It is on a scale between 0.7 and 1, so there are 37 values that are in between.
31 values.
What did I say?
37. Keep going.
31 values on this scale. RER can be over 1, and usually it would be during a max test because of 3 things: getting rid of bicarbonate, which is also called hydrogen buffering, hyperventilation, and possible protein metabolism. As I said before, metabolism of carbohydrates is quicker than fat or protein metabolism, so it allows for quicker ATP turnover. Muscle glycogen that is used during O2 deficit can also be restored while excess carbohydrates are being used.
Danny, I don't know. I looked everywhere downstairs and I didn't see a donut.
Danny, get up. We're going outside. What are you looking at, Danny? What are you looking at? Huh? What are you looking at? Get down the stairs. Let's go. I'm taking this shit outside. Heat has a massive effect on exercise. It's regulated by the body's ability to dissipate heat in 4 ways: radiation, convection, conduction, and evaporation. Evaporation is the most effective way to lose heat during exercise. Heat is lost through evaporation when the body perspires water onto the skin surface. Heat is converted to water vapor after water on the surface of the skin is warm enough or has enough energy. Evaporative cooling happens when an individual's body temperature is higher than normal. During evaporative cooling, sweat glands are instructed to secrete sweat by the nervous system. The sweat becomes water vapor, and then heat is lost to the environment, resulting in a decrease in skin temperature. Heart rate and heat is expected to increase due to the body's efforts to cool skin and decrease body temperature. Blood lactate is expected to level out as opposed to in a cool environment when blood lactate continues to increase. In a heated environment, skin temperature will be higher due to heat conduction. The body is not able to cool itself if the temperature of the environment is similar to the body temperature. Hematocrit levels will increase because more blood plasma is lost. Plasma is lost due to H2O lost through sweating. This increases the concentration of elements and red blood cells in the blood when compared to plasma. Lastly, core temperature is also expected to increase in the heat. The reason for this could be attributed to the increase in metabolic rate in the heat. So notice how when the fight is taken outside, both of us are sweating way more than we were inside. Me more than Danny. Sweat rate is the average amount of sweat being produced by the body in milliliters for every minute of exercise. With an increase in sweat rate, there's also an increase in the amount of fluid needed to replenish the system so that the individual is not at risk for heat injury, hyperthermia, and dehydration. Both of our sweat rates would increase when in the heat because we are both producing more sweat. Other factors that can contribute to sweat rate include humidity and the body mass of an individual. So therefore, the higher the humidity, the more sweat being produced. And the larger the person, the higher their sweat rate is and more fluid is needed to replenish their system.
Carb loading.
You scared? You scared? Just run down You better run. You better run. You better run. That's right. Things are crazy. Fight's over for now, ladies. Jill's too sweaty to continue, and we have more donuts to buy, so.
EPOC.
For continued.
EPOC, also known as excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, is seen after the completion of exercise and can be altered according to 6 main factors. These 6 factors are resynthesis of phosphocreatine in muscles, lactate conversion into glucose, restoration of muscle and blood oxygen stores, elevated body temperature, post-exercise elevation of heart rate and breathing, and elevated hormones in the blood. Gluconeogenesis is one factor of EPOC. Another factor is the resynthesis of phosphocreatine in the muscles. Within the first 2 to 3 minutes of recovery, O2 and phosphocreatine stores are restored, which ensures that the phosphocreatine system will be ready for the onset of exercise in the future. An increased heart rate means the body needs more oxygen in order to pump blood efficiently. When body temperature is elevated, the rate of metabolism is increased, which requires more oxygen. Finally, elevated hormone levels, most importantly epinephrine and norepinephrine, increase oxygen levels after exercise. It has been said that the elevated hormone levels may not have that significant of an effect on EPOC because they are quickly removed from the blood after exercise. So, when we are fighting, we are both experiencing all 6 of these factors that are therefore increasing the amount of oxygen that we are consuming during recovery.
Jill, what are you doing?
I'm training to get my VO2 max higher, so if Danny ever takes a donut from me again, I'll take her down.
VO2 max is the maximal amount of oxygen that the body can take up during exercise. It's highly dependent on training levels of individuals. The VO2 max of an untrained individual will be significantly lower than the VO2 max of a trained individual. In other words, my VO2 max will be higher than Danny's VO2 max because she's extremely, extremely untrained. Just kidding. During exercise, the cardiorespiratory system carries O2 and nutrients to cells and carries waste away. Since blood hormone levels and body temperature both increase during exercise, the muscles require more oxygen. VO2 max is more likely to be reached on a treadmill rather than a bike due to muscle familiarity. Walking, jogging / running on the treadmill is more common because everyone walks daily, but not everyone bikes daily. VO2 max is determined by 5 criteria. Number 1, a plateau is met. 2, post-exercise lactate is less than 8 millimoles per liter. 3, heart rate peak is between 5% of age predicted max heart rate. 4, the RER is greater than 1.1. And 5, RPE is greater than 18. If 3 of these criteria are met, then a VO2 max has been met. If RPE is one of the 3 criteria met, then a 4th criteria must also be met in order for it to be considered a max test. So I am expected to reach VO2 max by running on a treadmill at a constant speed that's slightly lower than the fastest I can run, and with continuing to increase the grade on the treadmill until I can no longer run anymore or reach fatigue. Training levels close to or at my VO2 max is the only way to increase my VO2 max.
Hope you learned a little bit more about what physiologically goes on when you fight your roommate over a donut.
Take your roommate down over a donut.
Not our best fight. Probably could have gotten a little more aggressive, I guess. I would have raised hell if it was my donut.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
next time.
All right.
Next donut.
Okay. So
So,
yeah.
take
Take
Derreck!
Derreck!
Take Derreck for breakfast!
VO2 lab, get high! Wow! Rawr.